Accounting has often been seen as a stable career. It's practical, smart, steady, but lately things have been changing. Fewer students are entering the field, more professionals are leaving, and companies everywhere in general are just struggling to find good quality accountants. So what's really kind of going on? Why is the accounting profession shrinking so much? If you're new here, my name is Ariel, and I'm a certified public accountant with several years of experience working in public accounting before transitioning this past year into an accounting supervisor role with a Fortune 500 company. Now, I've shared many videos on this channel for both the benefits and the drawbacks of the accounting profession. So today I wanted to share some of the stats with you, since this has become a very hot topic recently, both in my own day-to-day and also online. One of the many reasons I personally was drawn to the profession was that I always heard how accounting was a growing career field, right? And so that there were constantly a need for accountants, and so an accounting degree would be really the means where there was always going to be a job available. The side of me that likes safe practicality really liked this. Definitely not the only reason I went into accounting for sure, but it was definitely a factor. And while this was true back then, turns out it's still true. I want to read a quick thing. Empower reported that the demand for accountants is strong thanks to a growing economy, globalization, and a complex tax and regulatory environment. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Bureau projected 6% job growth for accountants and auditors until 2033, with about 130,000 job openings each year. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, wait, Ariel, didn't you just say the accounting profession is shrinking? Now you're saying it's growing? So here's where we have the dilemma. The demand for accounting is growing. However, the actual number of accountants in the pipeline has significantly decreased, right? So let's dive into some of the reasons for this decrease. One being the fear of what will be left of the profession due to some of the changes from technology and company shifts towards offshoring. The AI revolution is here, right? It's affecting people in all kinds of professions around the world, and accounting is definitely one of them. Many people worry about AI taking over the accounting industry. I think time will kind of tell exactly the full impact this will have. But already AI has evolved enough to be able to automate some of the more, mundane data entry tasks related to accounting. This has caused really a decrease in the need for some accounting related jobs that rely heavily on data entry. I'd like to make another video sometime where I dive a bit deeper into the effects of AI that I've seen on the profession so far, but for now, I'll say that at least in my observation, while the fears are real and going around, so far I've seen AI definitely transform, at least in my career, the way accountants are working. But I think it's more that accountants' work will change, and AI will be used more as a tool rather than it being used to completely replace accountants altogether. Secondly, I want to talk about offshoring. This has become a more popular trend lately, especially in large firms and companies. 2020 really brought on the existence of realizing that accountants can work from home. Being in an office for 5 days of the week was learned not to only be unnecessary, but really undesired by many people. So nowadays, many companies have remote accounting positions or at least hybrid options available. For example, my company is included in that. I work 3 days at home and 2 days in the office. But with remote work comes a new problem. Companies have realized that if their employees are working from home, why not hire them overseas instead? And this has helped companies cut costs significantly by being able to offshore and cut labor costs to pay significantly lower wages in other countries. One of the more like popular ones being American companies currently outsourcing to places like India. Great opportunities for those in India, but not so much for Americans. And so seeing this offshoring of accounting roles has discouraged some from pursuing accounting as a profession altogether. And then another major threat causing an accounting crisis is due to mass retirements of CPAs. A lot of senior accountants and CPAs are reaching the end of their careers, and there just simply aren't enough new professionals that are like coming in to replace them. This gap is widening every single year. According to the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, it's estimated that around 75% of CPAs reached retirement eligibility in 2019, meaning many CPAs have started and will continue to leave the industry and enjoy their retirement. So that's a huge amount of people leaving with few to take over those roles. Now, why is that? Why so few taking over the roles? One reason is that accounting has a serious image problem. Yeah. Have you ever noticed while scrolling on Netflix or other popular streaming services while looking for something to watch, and you kind of find a million different shows about being a doctor, or working in a hospital, or being a lawyer, or being in law enforcement? I don't know about you, but did you ever watch those shows growing up and think on that, like, oh, that would be so cool to be in that profession? How many shows about accountants have you watched? Yeah, I haven't seen many. And besides the movie literally called The Accountant, most accountants portrayed in movies are seen as socially awkward, badly dressed, and just kind of boring. So, and then also apart from media portrayal, many accountants themselves are not recommending the job to others. And this is becoming a problem. The profession is often known for long hours, not enough pay, high stress, deadlines, and often boring and just mundane work. For young generations looking for better work-life balance and purposeful work, accounting hasn't really put itself forward as an attractive career option. It's no wonder so many young professionals are deciding to switch to other fields or avoid accounting altogether. And then there's another one is the CPA exam. It's one of the hardest professional exams out there, and the requirement is just to sit for it, like 150 credit hours in many states can be a huge barrier. That means not only getting a bachelor's degree, but attending additional classes on top of that, or pursuing a master's degree in order to reach the requirements. So in fact, this has become enough of an issue that some states are, now discussing changing some of the educational and other requirements of the CPA exam to attract more people to pursue the license. Of course, while some think it's a great idea, others feel that decreasing these standards will dilute what the license means. So overall, for many young professionals, the time, cost, and stress just don't feel worth it anymore, especially compared to other career paths that offer very similar pay without the same kind of hurdles to step through. So when you put it all together, retirements, barriers to the CPA exam, lower wages, heavy workloads, technology, and offshoring, you can see why the profession is shrinking. But here's the thing. Accounting is still the language of business. Companies will always need accountants, especially those who can adapt, think critically, and really provide value beyond just, crunching some of those numbers. So ultimately, if you're considering a career in accounting, don't let these challenges that I've been discussing in this video scare you off, but do go in, with your eyes open. The profession is changing, and the people who succeed will really be the ones who can evolve with it. In fact, I think there are a lot of upsides to some of these challenges as well. I think circumstances are definitely not looking good for companies, but I do think it may be a great opportunity for individuals. This means, less competition, which could lead to more opportunities. AI might mean replacing boring data entry and giving more time to work on more interesting value-added work. Retiring CPAs means more upper level leadership opportunities opening up and, room to move up in your career. For me personally, when I got hired to my current role, my boss, who is 59, said she's looking for someone who can, replace her someday. When I worked in public accounting, one of the partners I worked with often also talked about her hopes of, training her team to replace her so she could retire. There are spots open, there's spots opening up for you. So, what's the verdict? Is accounting still a good career path, or is it losing its appeal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-world accounting insights. Have a great day.